Welcome to Question Time and a special edition this week from Washington, D.C. And hello and a welcome to our normal viewers, but also to people all around the world who are going to be watching this program on BBC World News. Great to have you with us. 5 days to go before the United States chooses its next president. And for this program, I'm joined by Elizabeth Edwards, one of Barack Obama's healthcare advisors, whose husband ran for the Democratic presidential nomination. Christopher Nixon Cox, executive director of John McCain's campaign in New York, grandson of former President Richard Nixon. The British historian, professor at Columbia University, Simon Schama, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist with the Chicago Tribune, Clarence Page, and the Republican political strategist, Sherry Jacobus. Now, I should just say the usual rules apply. Our audience here is a cross-section of American political opinion with a sprinkling of British residents just to leaven the tone. And if you're watching at home and dislike what they say or the panelists say, you can text us as ever. 83981 is the number to text us on. CFAX page 155 will tell you what other viewers are saying. If you're watching digitally, press the red button. And of course, email us at the address on the screen if you'd like to as well. Right, let's go straight to our first question. From Catherine Wolfe, please.
Which candidate does the panel believe could and would restore America's battered image abroad?
If you assume a battered image. Simon Schama?
Barack Obama. That was, that was the easiest applause I've ever earned in my life.
The reason audience is Republicans. They didn't boo. You're very lucky.
They did. That's right. But I was asked a question. You know, I mean, I wasn't going to say Thomas Jefferson, was I? Actually, would that he were around now? No, I think not least because actually he does seem, in response to your specific question, almost miraculously to be a citizen of the world. It will help the United States. How could it not help the United States that he has roots both in the heartland of Kansas and in Africa too?
But you accept the premise, which is that America's image abroad is battered, do you?
It's almost impossible not to believe that, actually. If polling is to be believed, the last 8 years have brought ignominy and embarrassment to the image of America, possibly undeservedly. I mean, it may be that good intentions have gone awry and some of the ill reputation is undeserved, but it certainly means, I think, that the revival of diplomacy, not the sense of actually taking the democratic mission abroad at the point of a gun, ought to be the first resort. Just the fact of a president for whom war will always be the last resort, not an elective option, I think will achieve miracles in terms of the repair of reputation.
Okay. Chris Cox.
Well, shockingly enough, I think John McCain could do a great job also of being a great ambassador of the world.
But do you think the image needs regenerating? Is it a battered image?
Well, let me make just a couple points about that. I think that some of the things that has happened during the Bush administration have been quite admirable. I think if you go to a lot of African countries, the United States is very high up in terms of popularity in our relations with these countries, and a lot of that's due to George Bush's policies. So I wouldn't say that the entire world is dismayed with the U.S. And then I think also we have to look at what's happened with a historical eye. I mean, Iraq is still getting better, and that could end up being a terrific success in the world and could also naturally change world opinion as well.
Okay. Clarence Page.
Well, I think, first of all, Barack Obama embodies change to the world. They look at him and they look at any of our previous presidents, and he is change. Number one. Number two, he is a man of the world who understands the world and has empathy for it. George W. Bush was known around the world for not having seen the world before he became president. He had been to Africa. And I agree with you about his popularity in Africa for good reason. He surprised everyone with his AIDS fighting measures. And the name of the United States is a very good one across Africa because of that. Unfortunately, our name would be better if we had taken a more proactive role in Darfur, a more proactive role in Zimbabwe and other trouble spots over there. But even more pressing, across Europe, when you look at our NATO allies and other allies around the planet, we have an image for having more weaponry than the rest of the world put together. And that's a fact. It's not just an image, it is a fact. But the big stick policy is one that is viewed. Unfortunately, President Bush, during his debates in 2000, promised a humble foreign policy, and now we are known for an arrogant foreign policy.
Well, let's go back to the two contenders. Sherry Jacobus, it's a lovely name. What do you think, between the policies of the two contenders, is the most likely to restore and the most likely to, if you think there's a battered image?
I actually think that John McCain is the better person, more for his personal qualities than even for his foreign policy positions, because those, as we know, change with world events. John McCain is somebody that the world already knows, the world leaders already know. They know his personal story, his personal bio, which we all know is very strong, 5.5 years as a prisoner of war, and with an option to get out, and he did not. But I think it's his history of reaching across the aisle, maybe perhaps when the White House wasn't doing it, when other Republicans weren't doing, he's willing to reach across the aisle
to his political opponents.
Work with the other party. That is something that on the international stage is going to be very, very important. He already has a history of that. It's not just words, it's actually a record.
Okay. The man in the back there waving. You sir.
I think the panelists, with all due respect, are looking backwards on both sides here. You have to look forwards. Obama is supposed to be for change. What is he going to do? The biggest thing he's going to do, well, apart from that, the biggest thing he's going to do is change the federal tax code. Pelosi and Harry Reid want to do that as well. And that means American companies pulling their jobs back from Europe. And it's fair enough, do that. But Europe's going to learn a hard lesson. They're going to lose jobs. And jobs are the big thing in this recession.
Okay. Elizabeth Edwards.
I don't think there's a lot of question. I completely disagree with the man in the audience that Barack Obama's campaign is about changing the federal tax code. But, and particularly with respect to this question, I don't think there's any question that the world views Barack Obama as the instrument for the United States changing direction in a lot of ways and foreign policy. And though, to disagree with Clarence a little bit, I don't even give President Bush some credit with respect to the AIDS initiative, which I applaud in Africa, because he actually stopped Senator Frist's earlier efforts to do the same thing.
But what is it that Barack Obama's going to do that hasn't been done, that you can see him changing the perception of the United States?
I think there's one of the things his foreign policy that he's talked about. First of all, I think it is important, as the man in the audience another man in the audience pointed out, is he's going to be in the process of getting us out of Iraq, which has damaged our opinion around the world.
We may come to that a bit later on.
As the first step. And he's also indicated a willingness to go around the world and to give a new face. The President of the United States is the face of this country, and our esteem is directly related to the ability of that one human being to relate.
Who do you, sir, want to see as the face of the United States?
I would like to see John McCain and Professor. I'd like to address
Now,
you're a typical professor. Okay,
There's
sir?
no such thing as a typical professor.
Well, you are it. You're it.
Well,
The professors
Let me
ask you what you-
With all due respect, our country is not hated overseas. I've been to 55 countries around the world, and people love the United States. Everything that it brings. Wait a second. For everything that it brings hope to people. We're the most charitable nation on earth, as evidenced by President Bush and all the work he did, not only in Europe, but in Africa. So with all due respect, don't talk about our country being
wrong.
vilified overseas
You're just wrong,
when we are
because-
respected and loved by millions of people
Wait,
overseas because of what we do for
Fine.
them.
What's the-
And we
what's the
die
evi-
for them.
what's the
We
evidence?
die for
excuse me,
them.
let the professor
yeah,
answer,
yeah,
even if he is a
thank you.
typical
What's the
professor. He likes
evidence?
answering questions.
What
with
exactly is
students'
the evidence of your love index? Because you're absolutely
I
right.
told you, I've been to
No,
55 countries
let me
around
finish.
this
I
world,
attempted
and
to.
I've experienced it full.
I'm a typical professor, you're a typical blowhard. Let me finish. I didn't say that the United States has not got any virtues. If you actually bother to listen, and if you were my student, you would get a failing grade. If you bother to
wouldn't be your
listen to
student.
me, I said possibly undeserved reputation. There is a huge amount of polling evidence from all around the world that the reputation of the United States, I said perhaps undeservedly, has suffered bitterly and in an extraordinary way over the last 8 years. One thing the world is hungry for is to have an America with authentic moral dignity brought back to them. You don't.
We freed Iraq. We sent our
Okay,
troops to fight for freedom.
let's move
That's
this-
what America has done.
Let's move this argument on.
And we fought for you, too.
Okay,
We
sir.
fought
The
for
woman
those
in the second row there, in the yellow dress, or brown dress, would it be? Yes, speak away.
Yes, I believe that if the United States' stature is diminished, particularly because we are being too interventionist, I don't think either of the candidates will make any difference at all, because right now they're focusing either on who's going to go into Afghanistan faster or Pakistan faster. No one is actually going to stop our interventionism across the world. We are really caught up into establishment politics here, and the differences between the two candidates are streamlining. And the reason that the world is really accepting Obama is because he's, you know, changed, quote unquote, but everybody always likes to go to the person who's brilliant and who has rhetoric and who is, you know, makes a lot of
Well,
promises.
it's an interesting point. Clarence Page, what do you say to the argument that actually neither candidate is going to be that different? That
Well,
it's
Barack Obama-
establishment politics
Both
with
Barack Obama
intervention.
and John McCain do want to increase our forces in Afghanistan. I think it's a pretty good idea. I was opposed to the war in Iraq from the beginning. And I'm a Vietnam-era veteran who, at that time, was very happy about the fact that our country wouldn't make that kind of mistake again. I'm not so happy anymore because we have made that mistake again and blundered right into a quagmire in Iraq. And we're going to have a hell of a time getting out, no matter who the next president is. But Barack Obama will begin to make, he's committed to taking the steps necessary to begin to draw down, put us on a glide path to independent governance for Iraq and to our
Okay.
pullout.
We may
But
have-
we
I
do
just have
need
to say
more,
one thing.
we
Yeah.
do need to do
All right.
something about Iraq and
The one thing that
Pakistan
Barack
because they
Obama
do
doesn't
pose
say-
a threat to our
the one
security.
thing Barack Obama doesn't say is that we're going to get out of there with a win. John McCain says we'll
Okay,
exit
we
Iraq
may-
with a win.
we may
That
come-
is a big
Wait.